In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News.
Very emotional to be here, to be away from all of that.
It's very overwhelming to be in a situation of where you have a fear of your life.
Now more Americans are starting to arrive back home after being evacuated from Israel. 270 Americans landed in Tampa overnight on the first return flight to the United States in an operation organized by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
And U.S. citizens in the Israeli port of Haifa started to board an evacuation ship this morning. That ship is expected to take them to Cyprus. The U.S. announced yesterday it would send ships to collect Americans from Haifa due to most commercial airlines stopping flights. Now, this all comes as Israel moves more tanks and jets to the Israeli-Gaza border. Thanks for being with us. I'm Daniel Marin.
And I'm Britt Moreno. Now, so far, they haven't moved into Gaza. Alice Barr reports on the people desperate for a path out of the war zone in Gaza and the reaffirming U.S. support to Israel.
Growing crowds, growing desperation at the still closed Rafah border crossing from Gaza into Egypt. Palestinian civilians with foreign passports, including hundreds of Americans, waiting for the gates to open to get out of the war zone and allow aid to flow in.
The patients are screaming in pain. There is nothing to alleviate their suffering. And so to bring in the humanitarian supplies, obviously water is a huge issue as well.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken returning to Israel, pressing for relief for Gaza's humanitarian crisis while reaffirming U.S. support.
You know our deep commitment to Israel's right, indeed its obligation, to defend itself and to defend its people.
The Israeli military has troops massed at the border but has not yet launched a ground invasion after warning civilians to get out of northern Gaza and amid negotiations to free roughly 200 hostages Hamas militants took from Israel into Gaza in their brutal terror attack. The International Red Cross in direct talks with Hamas.
We're demanding the immediate release of these hostages. And also access so we can check on their well-being.
As today, hundreds of Jewish Americans and allies marched to the White House calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and praying for peace. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
30 Americans have been killed in this war so far. An additional 13 are missing.
And American authorities are on alert, warning of potential threats as tensions and protests erupt in cities across the country. FBI Director Christopher Wray is asking for vigilance, warning Hamas and other groups could exploit the conflict in the Middle East to plot attacks here in the United States. And it's all while concerns rise that anger here at home may be spilling into violence. In Illinois, a 6-year-old Palestinian Muslim boy was killed and his mother hospitalized after police say their landlord repeatedly stabbed them. They say it was related to the war. 71-year-old Joseph Scuba is now behind bars, facing murder and hate crime charges. Security at Jewish places of worship are also beefed up. Reports of anti-Semitic incidents have spiked to nearly 300% compared to the same week last year. That's according to the Anti-Defamation League. Coming up on KXAN News at 6, we're going to look at groups being targeted here in Austin.
Well, today, Austin police released video showing their interactions with a man who died in custody earlier this month. It all happened in the area of Research Boulevard near Riata Trace Parkway in Northwest Austin in the early morning hours of October 3rd. Multiple people called 911 to report a man seriously hurting himself with a pipe. Now, video shows officers walking towards that man, one officer here holding a stun gun, and you can see the blood-soaked man walking along the road. And this is where we pause the video because what happens next is just too disturbing. So when officers approached the man put the pipe on the ground and apparently continued to injure himself with it. That's when officers used a stun gun on him. Officers tried to render aid, then medics took the man to the hospital, and that is where he later died.
And going to death, APD general orders state that stun guns can be used when officers find the use objectively reasonable. Now, this includes apprehending someone fleeing lawful arrest, someone who is violent or physically resisting arrest, or someone who's demonstrated to be a potential threat to themselves or others. Now, the orders say the use of a stun gun should be avoided when dealing with people who are obviously pregnant, juveniles, the elderly, people who are handcuffed or could be injured if stunned, like if they fall over. Now, those orders also include those who are suspected of being under the influence of drugs, alcohol, or who are exhibiting violent, irrational behavior.
Well, police were busy this weekend. 2 people are dead after 2 shootings less than 48 hours apart over the weekend. Both happened on East Riverside Drive.
As KXAN's Grace Reader explains, it's got people who live in that area on alert.
A violent weekend on East Riverside.
I just thought it was a peaceful area, so it kind of makes me feel on edge.
2 people are dead after 2 separate shootings. The first happened here at an apartment complex on Burton near Riverside around 2:30 Saturday morning. 1 person was shot.
Victim still has a pulse. EMS is bringing him into hospital now.
Police say medics took that person to Del Seaton, but they later died. So far, nobody's in custody. The other happened in the shopping center parking lot just walking distance away.
We have the possible shooter in custody.
Police say they have a person of interest in that one.
Just surrounded full of police, like everything blocked off by crime tape, a lot of lights, a lot of people investigating stuff. Just the overall eerie sensation, you know.
Jason Horton says he walked past this parking lot early Monday morning, shortly after the shooting happened. After moving to the area roughly a month ago, he's feeling on edge.
There should be more security around here patrolling the area. They should definitely do some more like pat downs and have a metal detector at this club right here. Stuff like that would definitely make an impact.
You walk somewhere, you don't know if you're going to live, you know?
We asked the Austin Police Department if they're going to up patrols in this area after the violent weekend. They did not get back to us before deadline.
I just hope the area gets better. They just surveillance the area better.
Grace Reader, KXAN News.
KXAN does track homicides in Austin on our website. Our digital data reporter Christopher Adams has interactive graphs and maps to show you when, where, and how they all have happened. And you can see on this map the 2 homicides over the weekend just blocks away from one another. You can also see one at the beginning of the month and 3 others last month. To find this map, search homicide map on KXAN.com.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist David Yeomans.
Boy, what a wonderful stretch of autumn weather, and it continues today with cool, breezy sunshine. Here we are on I-35 up in Round Rock. Whittlesey Landscape Supplies Cam reading a comfortable 70 degrees. This comes after a really chilly start today. Low temperatures earlier this morning reached 50 in Austin, but upper 30s out in Llano. You think that's cold? Look at this. We had some rural LCRA thermometers in the hill country in the mid-30s. Even Oak Hill, Barton Creek at least, was 39 degrees this morning. And we've got even colder temperatures in the forecast tonight. Don't miss where we drop into the 30s tonight and a big warm up that follows in First Warning Weather.
David, thank you so much. Spooky season is here. How to make Halloween less scary on your bank account and how to get into the spirit here in Austin.
And court documents giving some more insight into the shooting at the state fair over the weekend. This all came after new security changes. Well, Halloween is coming up and the price of celebrating is frightening to some, but it doesn't have to be. The price of candy is up more than 7% from last year. The National Retail Federation says on average people spend about a total of $100 on Halloween, and that doesn't stretch as far this year with inflation. So that's sending some people to shop at thrift stores. Shopping at Goodwill helps fund its career services and also encourages recycling. By the way, the most popular costumes flying off the shelves this year, of course, Ken and Barbie.
We have a little Spider-Man at our house. A South Austin Halloween favorite is not returning this year, but have no fear. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter will return in 2024. Diagon Alley Austin has created elaborate decorations and displays for years, transforming their home into the Hogwarts castle. Joel Pace began the tradition back in 2017 as a way to cheer up his wife after her breast cancer diagnosis. Now, usually the family finishes the display before Halloween and keeps it up through Christmas. This year, apparently, they say they're taking a break because their son is going to college. If you're trying to set up for Halloween, send us your pictures. We'd love to highlight them on our website. Scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you to report it at KXAN.com, and that's where you can send us your photos and your videos.
Well, if you visited ACL this weekend and you lost your phone, there's a good chance it's not at the Lost and Found. What police discovered after getting multiple calls about missing cell phones.
And high temperatures today were kept nearly 10 degrees cooler than what's typical this time of the year. Unfortunately, no rain from those sunny skies. Austin is about 11 inches short on rainfall so far this year. Your First Warning forecast with a cold night tonight. Next.
Well, today we're learning more about a shooting that forced an evacuation and lockdown at the State Fair of Texas.
This is not what you want to happen. 3 people were shot in the food court Saturday night. Larry Collins tells us about the person accused of opening fire.
Court affidavits are giving us a better indication of what allegedly happened that night. I want to run you through it, but first, just to recap, 22-year-old Cameron Turner has been arrested by police. He's accused of shooting inside the food court around 7:45 Saturday night, injuring 3 people. He now faces 3 charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Police say they responded to a call of an active shooter in that food court. 2 witnesses told police they saw a man shooting 3 to 4 times, then running away. 2 Texas State troopers and a Dallas police officer who were assigned to the fair then took Turner into custody. According to court documents, Turner told police several times that he was trying to protect his family. He went into defensive mode and shot when he felt threatened by a group of men. Police say they watched video of that incident. They indicated they saw Turner standing alone, but did see a group of men in the background approaching Turner from a distance. Police say that video shows one of the shooting victims approaching Turner. Police say it appears the 2 men exchanged words. Turner then produced a gun and began shooting at the man. That's when 2 other people were shot. Again, those 2 other people did not know who shot them. And that 3rd victim who may have exchanged words with Turner is not cooperating with police. Again, all this comes from court documents. NBC5, as of right now, have not seen that video independently. That investigation continues. In Dallas, Larry Collins, NBC5.
And just a reminder, the last day to go to the State Fair is this Sunday, October 22nd. Well, going in depth, this year is the first year of age restrictions for minors at the fair. We've told you after 5 p.m., those who are 17 and under are only allowed to be on the fairgrounds if they are accompanied by a parent, guardian, or chaperone who is 21 or older. That adult can bring in no more than 6 minors at a time, and their ID will be checked. But once inside, the guardian is not required to stay with the minors. The change came because last summer, Dallas police said a group of young fairgoers ran through the fairgrounds, leading to false reports of a shooting.
Well, windy day today, David.
Yes, and this is a cool north wind. Really keeps our temperatures down compared to a wind coming from the other direction. It just feels so different out there, doesn't it?
It feels like fall, finally.
The past few days have been wonderful, and this is going to continue for a couple more days. Here we are at Zilker Park cleaning up after weekend 2 of ACL. See a little shake on the camera there. North winds are starting to relax a little, but we still have gusts up to 24 miles per hour in Georgetown. That's bringing in that cold air. We call that cold air advection. Cold air blowing in from the north. 70 degrees right now in Milam County, 74. Very comfortable in Austin. The pollen count looking a little more crowded today with everything trending upward, but everything is low. Fall elm, mold, and ragweed. We've actually seen a couple little traces of cedar pollen on and off with that cool north wind. We're not seeing that right now. It is a little early in the season for that winter allergen. Beautiful clear skies all across the state. Hey, this is cool. Check this out. The visible satellite today is showing this cool north wind picking up heat and energy, heat and moisture rather, from the warm Gulf of Mexico and actually generating these clouds blowing southward. You notice how it takes a moment for that effect to happen with a gap near the coast and then the clouds streaming offshore near the oil platforms. Back here at home, the wind will soon die down as surface high pressure settles up over our area. This is going to lead to clear skies, calm winds, and dry air. That's the trifecta for a chilly fall evening. Temperatures really drop quickly after sundown tonight. We're in the 50s by bedtime and the mid-40s tomorrow morning in Austin. Not shown quite as well as I'd like here. We will have some colder locations like Llano, Bastrop, I think in the upper 30s tomorrow. And it is possible, not a widespread freeze, but a couple of the coldest little rural valleys and creek bottoms where we don't have a big population. We could actually see the first freeze of the season. Tomorrow, sunshine continues and the winds do a 180. South winds kickstart a big warm up through week's end. By Friday, we're up at 92 degrees, not only 10 degrees above normal, but actually close to record heat continuing through the weekend. As far as rainfall, don't really have any of it to look toward. We've got high pressure settling up over the southwest. This leads to a northwest flow up high in the sky. This is a very dry weather pattern typically for us, and that's what we're expecting for the next 6-7 days. No rainfall expected for the next week in town, but this could actually be different just beyond the 7-day forecast. All of our computer models consistently showing a decent chance of rain coming back next week. We could use some wetter than normal October weather for the last week of the month. This month has just not been quite as wet as some Octobers like to be. Tonight's forecast, Austin's coolest night since March 20th. 46 degrees with some 30s in rural areas. Tomorrow looks great, about 5 degrees warmer than today as a light south wind kicks back in. 79 and hardly see a cloud in the sky. Matter of fact, we may go 3 more days until you see a single cloud in the sky. High temperatures up at 92 Friday and near record highs for the Formula One U.S. Grand Prix in town this weekend. Clouds start to increase early next week and a chance of rain hopefully follows.
Okay, David, thank you so much. Many, of course, still dealing with the ACL hangover tonight. After 6 days of concerts, Austin City Limits Lost and Found is robust with phones, IDs, credit cards, glasses, and other belongings. In fact, as of this morning, there were 30 phones, 20 wallets, 80 IDs, over 130 credit cards, more than 30 keys turned in, and a partridge in a pear tree. Now, this is all according to the online Lost and Found tracker. Other items listed online were jewelry items, bags, and clothing. The Lost and Found tent is open until 6 p.m. tonight, so there's only a little bit of time here, 40 minutes for you to go and search for your items. The tent is at the Guest Services headquarters on William Barton Drive. You can also claim items online, and the festival will work to get them back to you for up to 60 days after the festival.
However, if you did lose your phone during the festival, there's a good chance it ended up stolen. APD arrested Victor Castro Ordóñez in connection to a series of cell phone thefts at the festival. Police got multiple calls over stolen cell phones on Friday, and according to the arrest affidavit, found 3 men they thought were responsible. 2 managed to get away, but when police searched Castro Ordóñez, they found a Faraday bag containing about 35 phones wrapped around his body. Now, a Faraday bag cuts off the cell phone's signal, meaning that people can't track their phones when they're inside of that bag. Now, the value of the phones was an estimated $17,000 to nearly $15,000 total for all the phones. That's according to the affidavit. You can read more on this theft and how it compares to years past under this story at KXAN.com.
The lengths people will go to. Oh, my goodness. Well, coming up, some migrants can now live in the United States due to a deal made with the Biden administration. But what a Trump-era policy has to do with it.
Nightly news again tonight from Israel. I'll take you to a small town in southern Israel that is quickly emptying out. More than half the population has left in anticipation of the ground war. And you can hear that war is already coming closer. We'll have the latest tonight on NBC Nightly News.
Well, the Biden administration has reached a legal settlement with more than 4,000 migrants who were separated from their families at the U.S.-Mexico border during President Trump's time in office. The deal did not contain any money to the migrants, but they will now be allowed to live and work in the U.S. for 3 years while receiving housing, mental health, and legal assistance, and also a chance to apply for asylum. In 2017 and 2018, U.S. immigration policy called for children under 18 to be taken away from their parents and placed in the custody of the Department of Health and Human Services while their parents were prosecuted in federal courts. Now, this settlement could still face political and legal challenges from conservatives.
Jury selection for an Austin police officer charged with murder started today. Christopher Taylor is accused of shooting and killing Mike Ramos during a confrontation in South Austin back in 2020. Back in May, a judge granted the defense's request for a mistrial due to the trouble the court had finding enough eligible jurors. The court then expanded its search for jurors and moved to a bigger courtroom for that selection. Judge Dana Blasey said she expects the trial to last 3 to 4 weeks.
Well, drive down any road in Austin, and what colors do you see around you? Chances are most cars next to you will either be black, white, or gray, and a study confirms that. A new study by IC Cars reveals the most popular car colors in Austin based on used car sales. And it shows just over a quarter of all cars in the city are white, about a fifth are black, another 18% are gray, and over 12% are silver. All the other colors make up less than 10% each. You can find this graph and how colors play into car sales under this story at KXAN.com. Put me in the gray category. Well, tonight on KXAN, it's The Voice starting at 7 o'clock, and then it's The Irrational at 9 o'clock, and then we're back with you at 10 o'clock.